Welcome to Deep Dive. I'm your host, Kevin Benedict, and I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm very excited to be able to introduce Etosha Thurman to all of you today. Etosha is the head of Global Business Network at SAP Ariba. Etosha, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Kevin.
Absolutely. Where are you calling in from today?
I am calling in from sunny and hot Atlanta.
Sunny and hot. You know, I went to Atlanta like 3 times this winter, and it was freezing. It was like colder than Idaho. So
we do have winter.
Yeah, so now it has changed. Well, that's terrific. So tell us a little bit about, you and I have met, but tell us a little bit about yourself, because a lot of people have yet to meet you.
Sure. Let me start with the personal. So I'm a native Atlantan, born and raised here. I'm a wife of 20 years and a mother to a 13-year-old daughter. So I'm living through the beginning of teenage years, so fun times.
Living the dream.
I have a 10-year-old son. Living the dream. It is a everyday experience. I was hoping I would be lucky enough to avoid it. Not so much. So I am currently, as you said, the head of the Global Business Network for SAP Ariba. I've been with Ariba for 8.5 years. I've spent most of my time working with our buyer customers, but for the last year or year and a half, I've been focused on our seller customers. And I've also spent time in broader SAP, sort of looking at some of our strategies for customer management. So I've always been very focused on how do we have the best experience for our customers? How do we help them get their ROI from choosing us as their software vendor?
That is terrific. Now, before we jump into more of the deep dive on the technology and what you focus on, I've got a question for you. How do you manage your email inbox? Do you like keep it clean? Do you put everything in folders, or what's your strategy?
Yes, so I am the exact opposite of my husband. I cannot have a huge inbox. I get anxiety when there's too many unopened emails. So my strategy is I pair my email inbox with my Microsoft OneNote. So I have all my folders in OneNote, and any email that I need to keep reference after action, I move into the appropriate folder so that my inbox stays pretty clean. So I'm probably less efficient because I have to have my email inbox at a certain manageable state. But that's sort of my strategy. Action it quickly and then move it into my OneNote for posterity, for later review and use if needed.
So do you read every email that comes in?
No, not every. Not every. But I'm going to go with probably more than most people, at least skim it to see what's happening. But no, I do. There are some that I feel comfortable with letting go.
I've got like 10,000 emails in my inbox. I read them and I delete what I can, but I just don't know where to put them all because I don't know where they all go. But I'm afraid to delete them, so I use the search function a whole lot on my email. All right. Well, thanks for giving us your strategy. Now, let's talk about SAP Ariba. You've been there a long time. You must like it. So tell us, what attracted you to SAP Ariba and why are you still there?
Sure. 2 different questions. Let me answer why I'm still here. It's really the people. There are great people at Ariba. I enjoy my colleagues. I enjoy really, what I always say is I love getting under the hood of so many different companies and being able to help them be better at what they do. Whether that's on the procurement side, sourcing side, or whether that's on the e-commerce and selling side. I really enjoy having a purview into how commerce happens. I came to Ariba. I'd been at 2 different competitors before I came to Ariba. And I came to Ariba because I believe that commerce can happen better. I have for a long time, and I wanted to be at the company that I had the right to win the space. And the company I was at before Ariba, I felt was a great company, great people, but I didn't think that they could go the last mile. And I wanted to be part of the company that I thought could really transform how B2B commerce happens.
Oh,
And 8.5 years later, I'm still here.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, now Ariba is the world's largest B2B network out there. And so you must have been doing something right. So let's talk about that. For those that might not be familiar with SAP Ariba, what is it and what's the, you know, overarching value that it provides?
Sure. So SAP Ariba, we are one of the brands within the SAP house, and we focus on intelligent spend management, right? So there's the one half of our house is really about how do we help our buyer customers source, contract, and operationally procure intelligently and efficiently. And then the other side of our house is our supplier customer. What we do is we work on how do we help our seller customers collaborate with their customers efficiently, transparently, and how do we help them sell better. So, and the platform in the middle of that buying and selling is Ariba Network, which is what I focus on every day. And that is the platform that facilitates the commerce, facilitates the connection of trading partners, facilitates the transactions when they found each other, facilitates the insight so they can work better together in the spend versus selling, you know, the source to pay, lead to cash process.
Now, Etosha, early on in my career, I worked in IT. I was the B2B e-commerce manager at Micron Electronics, and we did EDI. We did just-in-time manufacturing and delivery and all this kind of fun stuff. But it was always a one-to-many environment where I had a team of 6, and we were trying to onboard all our trading partners. We were trying to get them to use particular messages in EDI for orders, for everything else. That is a huge amount of work. So if I were to use SAP Ariba, how would that make it easier?
So I think that you really said some of the sweet spot, right? If you look at EDI, if you look at portals, it's one to many. So if you, from a buyer, it's great because I'm one buyer and I'm having my trading partners, my suppliers all come and meet my expectations and needs. But from a seller, if I have 100 buyers and they each have a different platform, a different way, I now have to staff teams to handle 100 portals, 100 processes. And that operational efficiency translates into poor customer service to my customers. It translates to higher prices for my customers. So what Ariba Network does is it allows a many-to-many approach, which drives transparency and efficiency in the collaboration for not just the buyer, but for the sellers as well. So once I connect to the Ariba Network, it's a platform that is not just for one, but I can leverage for many of my customers, introducing the same level of transparency, the same expectations of collaboration, and I can introduce and build efficiency in my e-commerce or my fulfillment processes. And that's our goal, right, is to bring value to both sides, both the buyer and seller, through Ariba Network, through our software solutions.
So that minimizes the amount of connections, kind of one API into the Ariba network, and then that's all you need, because a seller can communicate with all the buyers in the same methodology, as well as manufacturers with all their suppliers. Again, they're all connecting in the same unified kind of standardized process. Is that how it works?
Absolutely, that's correct. And it's not so rigid. So let me just say, it's not so rigid that if there's not a nuance for a specific industry, or if there's not a nuance for a specific spend type, that we can't manage it. It absolutely can manage the nuances that's needed to support our customers' business. But overall, it's one community that you join that eases the integration with your other customers, that eases and really, quite frankly, sets the expectation for how that customer is going to want to collaborate with you, because it becomes repetitive, buyer after buyer, seller after seller. You know, today we have 4 million different customers on the network. 4 million customer entities collaborating with each other. And I think that's a testimony to the value we bring to both sides of the equation.
Okay, so is it just an efficiency story, or is there more intelligent spend capabilities to the network?
Absolutely, and it's a great question, because when I started in this business, it was really about efficiency. We were really especially on the seller side, it was more about clean invoices. How do I get a clean invoice into my customer? I think today, if you look on the buyer side, we're really talking about intelligence and spend in a number of ways. One is leveraging intelligence to drive compliance, so helping your organization understand the supply that you've designated as strategic and appropriate for the goals of your company, and driving the behavior. And Ariba having intelligence and buying to help the right choices when they're looking to purchase things, when they're looking to spend. But we've also introduced intelligence in who you choose to source from. So as an example, through Ariba Solutions, we can help our buyers select suppliers that are sustainable, that are green, that are minority women-owned, that have social impact programs, right? So there's the intelligence that we can also put into the sourcing aspects as well. And on the supplier side, there's intelligence that we add in terms of helping them understand how their buyers operate, how to best service this customer who may be one in a million in terms of how they need that supplier to treat them, to interact with them. So giving insight into how to best manage that relationship. And we're just scratching the surface. If one of the things that I see continue to grow and expand rapidly is the use of intelligence through source to pay and lead to cash processes, and intelligence on the network to help businesses spend better, sell better, collaborate more efficiently.
No, that's powerful. So let's talk about that data for a moment. It seems like a good place to talk about it. SAP Ariba, there's $3.1 trillion annually going through that system. It's massive. Now, that money must also spin off all kinds of data. What data is available to help your spend be more intelligent?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's so many ways to answer that. We can help customers, on the buy side, we can help customers understand categories where they may be over or under penetrated in terms of the number of suppliers for the dollar amount of spend that they're leveraging, right? You want to have an optimal mix. You want to be sure you have enough supply so that you get a competitive rate, but not too many where you're being inefficient and not getting competitive rates. There's a balance there, and that's part of the intelligence that we can offer. There's also intelligence in terms of risk, right? So we can help you understand your supplier's supplier. So you understand, in the way I spend in these categories, where my suppliers are located or how they operate may introduce risks that I'm unaware of, and I may want to reevaluate this supply chain. So the data we have, there's absolutely, could we do things like business indexes to say what categories of spend are more procured over time in a region? Sure, we can do that, but we have intelligence that can also help understand areas of exposure where you might see financial impact. We can help our buyers understand, like I said, the social impact they're making through their spending patterns. So data, and then on the other side with suppliers, we can help them understand, well, is this a good customer or not a great customer, right? As an example, if this customer sends me change orders on 100% of my POs, how efficient are they operating with me? And what does this mean for how I manage this customer, right? So the intelligence goes both ways with the goal of helping our customers make decisions so they can run better, so they can be more impactful, more efficient for their stakeholders.
Thank you for sharing that. That's fascinating. So in all those, in all those kind of scenarios we've been talking about, it seems like suppliers and manufacturers might know each other already, but what if a manufacturer has a new product line? They're going to need new kinds of suppliers. Are there tools within the SAP Ariba environment for finding the suppliers of new kinds of materials and things?
That's such a great question. And, I started my career at Procter & Gamble in strategic sourcing. And I spent a couple of years working in what we call upstream sourcing, which was working with research developers on materials that weren't in the market yet. So we were 3 to 5, maybe even up to 10 years out in trying to find and develop sources of supply for future products. And the most difficult part was finding supply. And so one of the solutions that I love the most at Ariba is Ariba Discovery. And that's exactly what it is. It's a solution that allows buyers to search our community for new sources of supply. And at the same time, it's a solution that allows sellers to raise their hand and say, here's what I provide in these regions. So if you need these things, come pick me. So I love Discovery in the sense that it solves two problems of our both customer sets. Help me find new sources of supply and help me be discovered so that I can supply new customers. That's a solution that anyone can join. You don't even have to be a software customer of Ariba to leverage Ariba Discovery. And it's our attempt, what we do is about facilitating global commerce. And it's our attempt at helping buyers and suppliers find each other to make commerce more efficient and better, even if you're not using our sourcing tool or you're not using our commerce automation tool. It's still available. We're still very interested, invested in making commerce happen, making the world run better.
So, Etosha, why wouldn't a seller want their products known? I mean, is there, it sounds like everyone would want to just jump on SAP Ariba Discovery, but why wouldn't they?
That's a really hard question to answer. There's no opportunity cost to do it. It's only upside. It's only the ability for you to be found, for you to be discovered. I would recommend any business to join Ariba Discovery. Promote yourself. Allow us to help you find new business. And I would recommend any buyer customer to give it a try. Put a discovery post out there. See what supply is there. When you're looking for new areas of supply, looking for new suppliers to introduce, even in existing spend categories. This is our goal. We want to bring connections together. We want to make commerce happen. So there is I logically cannot think of a reason why you wouldn't want to participate in Ariba Discovery.
Got it. Well, thank you for that. So you're an expert that's been in this whole procurement and sourcing space for a long time. How do you anticipate it's going to continue to evolve over the next 5 years, Etosha?
That's really a good question. I think over the next 5 years, we're going to see operational procurement continue to become efficient. We're going to see machine learning and artificial intelligence drive repetitious processes on behalf of procurement and providing smart recommendations on how to operate. I think strategic sourcing is going to become more intelligent. I also think that data is going to allow the strategic sourcing community to be more purposeful in how they source and looking for sources of supply that's not just about price, not just about availability, but also about are you making an impact on our world at large, or are you doing things that harm our world at large? And our ability to bring that intelligence into the sourcing process, I think, is going to change the dynamic of sourcing as well as how companies view their responsibility in the sourcing process. I think that our intelligence in global commerce is going to help sellers be smart about what's a good customer versus an okay customer versus a poor customer. And then how do I differentiate in my pricing for those customers? How am I smarter about how I sell? How am I smart about how I represent myself? What part of my go-to-market involves how I'm impacting my community and the responsibility I have to also source responsibly? So I really see intelligence and machine learning driving a lot of efficiency as well as shaping how we look at intelligent spend management, intelligent selling in the future, in the very near future. I don't think that's a fad. I don't think that's a fad. That's a trend that's going to continue.
I think that's fascinating. You know, the ability to, if you're spending hundreds of millions of dollars with various suppliers, you can influence their behavior. So where they find their own materials, what kinds of companies they spend their money with, do they reflect their values and the values they project to their customers and the values of their customers? Because if you're taking care of the world, you know, I remember my wife and I were in Portland. We were at a street where on one side was North Face, the other side was a Patagonia store, and we're trying to figure out now which one of these companies is actually donating so much money to Patagonia and to the big nature preserves and things like that. And the answer was both of them, but we were actually looking to spend money at the one. We were trying to remember which one it was because we wanted to spend our money there because they give back. Yeah, so
absolutely.
From the customers to the manufacturers all the way to the suppliers, you can do purposeful spending.
That's absolutely right. And even in purpose and social impact is a very big topic, especially when you talk about millennials and the generation coming behind millennials who are living global warming and things that when I was young, I didn't really, I thought about, but it wasn't as present as it is today. But even setting that aside, just imagine, you know, the impact of being able to see the risk, like a financial risk of a seller right at the point of sourcing. Or look at on the seller side, being able to see the performance of your customer and how it's impacting your operations. If, here's an example, they never close out a sourcing event. You bid, you never know if you lost or won. I mean, you obviously realize you lost, but they never tell you. Or you have an existing customer and you find out that you're processing 70% change orders versus another customer where their order is always accurate, right? So then you can start to differentiate, which is really hard for our seller customers to do, to differentiate your margins so that you can stay profitable as well as a seller customer. So the beauty of Ariba Network is we serve both, you know, we think about both customers. We think about commerce as a whole and how do we drive effective and efficient collaboration and drive insight to help all of our customers be better run companies.
Etosha, I want to thank you so much for sharing your experience and knowledge.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And I want to thank everyone out there that tuned in today.